Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons. It's your boy, coming back at ya once again with a Eurovision review. I feel weirdly short in front of this flag and I do not know why. Yes, indeed, it is time to talk about what Greece is bringing to the table for Eurovision 2021. It just so happens to be another familiar face, not just in the sense of it being an artist who was going to represent their country at Eurovision last year, but because they've actually also been in a Eurovision event before. I'm speaking, of course, about Stefania Liberakakis, a former member of the trio Kisses, who came 8th for the Netherlands at Junior Eurovision in 2016. This year, she is going to represent Greece at the adult contest with the song Last Dance. It's presented fully in English, and it seems to largely be produced by the same team responsible for Greece's entry last year. But I dare say this is very different. This is a bit of a step up, a departure from her previous entry, but as I've said on many an occasion, it doesn't do to compare like that. But yes, music and lyrics by Dimitris Kontopoulos, Sharon Vaughan, and Arcade Music, which itself consists of Pavlos Manolis, Diverno, Anastasio Ramos, and Gabriel Russell. So we have quite a few big names behind this song. So yeah, what do you got, Greece? You know, I'll be the first to confess, I was rather interested to see what Greece was going to come up with this year, bearing in mind Stefania's history with the contest. That is, I was there for her junior Eurovision entry. Well, not there in person, but, you know, I was following the contest in real time when Kisses were chosen. I watched them compete, I watched them finish 8th in the end, etc. And obviously, I was here when her would-have-been entry for last year dropped. Well, actually, I wasn't here because, you know, I moved house a couple of weeks ago, but you know what I mean. In many ways, this doesn't disappoint. Stefania once again brings charm and energy to a song whose general vibes satisfy those same nostalgic nighttime road trip vibes that Moldova did in 2016, or that Latvia did in 2017. Those songs aren't directly interchangeable or comparable, of course. They just all tickle the same part of my brain, which I'm assuming is here somewhere. Maybe it's back here, or over here, or somewhere deep in this angle, I don't know. That said, I won't deny, the fastest way I can sum this entry up is Supergirl, which was Stefania's entry last year, meets Dua Lipa, specifically the hit single Physical. And I don't think this song is an attempt at plagiarism, but I'm sure it's no coincidence that it's cut from a similar cloth. It's drawing from a popular song to form the basis of this track. Still, as inspirations go, you could do a lot worse. In the meantime, though, some ideas of what you might like about this song. Well, before anything else, I think fair praise is due to Stefania herself. The song just seems to suit her so very, very well. As did her song from last year, but as I said, we'll put that to one side. Between that and her appearance at Junior Eurovision in 2016, we already know, with evidence, that she's full of energy and charisma, and is more than competent as a performing artist when it comes to bringing songs to life on a stage the size that we tend to get at Eurovision. Now, again, not fair to compare, so keep that in mind, but I do find that in this case, comparing this song to her previous entry just highlights the point further. While there is still a friendliness towards a younger audience in much of Stefania's music, I would absolutely argue that this is a more grown-up song than her entry from last year, and also from her Junior Eurovision entry, obviously, but the overall point I'm making here is that while she has a bit of a reputation as a family-friendly artist, this song definitely has a wider appeal than just tween-age girls, for example. Basically, she's got range and appeal, and that is never a bad thing. Now, holding on to that thought for a moment, I'd summarise this song as innocent fun. While, yes, it's clearly very heavily inspired by existing music that is currently popular, I would say that there's no malice intended here. It hits very similarly to music that's currently popular, but only in the way that, well, the way that kids play dress-up as figures that they admire as a form of flattery. You know, it's if you enjoyed the album Future Nostalgia by Dua Lipa, odds are high you'll enjoy this song as well. Stefania most likely never said, I want to copy that album. Merely, I'd like a song that sounds good in the same way. And that's what we've got. If that really is the team's objective, by the way, then I think the songwriting team, as I said, could have done a lot worse than this. The track does present a decently satisfying musical atmosphere that accurately reflects the intended emotions behind the lyrics, and the story that the song wishes to tell. It really does sound like the musical version of your best friend looking out the window and going, yeah, it's a torrential rainstorm out there, but that never happens around here, so who knows when it'll happen again. Let's go out and dance in it while we still have the chance. Or, is my imagination running away with me again? Because that is a distinct possibility. Having said all of that, of course, not everyone will be quite so forgiving, and that's completely fine too. For example, some people will be less inclined than me to look past the similarities between this song and stuff that has been popular in the charts lately. For some people, the fact that this song is, in their minds, diet physical will override any sense of identity that the song has unto itself. It may just seem to them like, oh yeah, that song that's pretending to be Dua Lipa, the song that wishes it was Dua Lipa, etc. Stefania is by no means the only artist this year for whom this issue presents itself, and it's not her fault. But that is how some people are going to see it when all is said and done. Something else that your mileage may vary on when it comes to how open your mind is when you approach this song is the matter of the lyrics, and specifically, how kind of vapid they can be in some places. While I do think they suitably convey the feelings that the song seeks to evoke, I do think that at their weakest, they are a little easy. And this is saying nothing of the fact that the song does the cursed fire wire rhyme, which I am never a fan of, though, in fairness, when that part is repeated, only half of it is brought up again, so the rhyme itself only actually happens once in the song. And besides, this is one of those songs that's meant to be less Shakespeare and more just feelings, so I feel like it can be forgiven that the lyrics are a bit weak, but you might not, and that's okay. Finally, there's the arrangement of the song itself. Looking past comparisons to other songs and such like, it is rather, for want of a better word, formulaic, and without Stefania's vocals to elevate it, it's actually surprisingly empty and blustery. To be clear, her singing does bring it up into a very respectable song, but the instrumental by itself strikes me as incredibly lacking, unremarkable, and repetitive by itself. Obviously, the instrumental alone won't be competing at Eurovision on its own, so this is something that can be overlooked when you've got Stefania's vocals to keep it afloat, but for some people, it's there and it's irreconcilable. As ever, only you can decide how you feel about these things. Now, though, to give this song a score, I think I'll settle for a personal 7 out of 10 for now. Make no mistake, I do very much enjoy this song, and I will probably keep it on my playlist. But I fear that it's one that I sort of end up forgetting about in the grander scheme of this year's contest. For what it is, an, as I said, harmless bop that brings nostalgic vibes, it's more than decent. And I don't mean nostalgic as in the Dua Lipa future nostalgia sense, but in the it reminds me of my personal childhood and the music we would play on long car journeys up and down the motorway sense. In not so many words, and in not so esoteric an explanation, I enjoy it when it's on, and I forget it tragically quickly when it's not. On the technical side of things, meanwhile, I feel more inclined towards a 6 out of 10, and I feel like I'm being super harsh in saying that! Really though, I'm just trying to be realistic. I think the more cynical jurors of Europe will drag this song for being too derivative of existing music, causing its own identity to suffer as a result. And I think if anyone is likely to pull the song up on the relative simplicity of the instrumental as well, again, it would be the juries. In this song's defense, it sets itself a goal, and I think it manages it just fine. It's a fun, harmless little banger performed by a talented singer with charm, charisma, and energy. The song sounds right at home coming from someone like Stefania, and it is bound to be 3 minutes of solid entertainment on the night. I just fear that the professional juries may not see it that way when it's their turn to vote, you feel? So let's step away from the present day for just a second here. This is another instance where an artist was chosen for 2020 and then internally selected again for 2021, so I think you can guess that my rating for the Greek broadcaster's reaction to last year not getting to happen is a positive one. Indeed, Stefania was guaranteed her place at the 2021 contest literally the day after the plug was pulled on last year's contest, so no pointless waiting around, no bureaucratic nonsense, and by the sound of things, she's once again working with a team and a song that she, herself, as an artist, is comfortable working with and comfortable owning, respectively. For what it's worth, given the relative demand of the likes of Dimitris Kontopoulos and Sharon Vaughan in that general area, one could argue that it shows a degree of care and concern on the broadcaster's part to ensure their working relationship with Stefania continued after last year, in the name of consistency as well as to keep things running smoothly. To my eyes, it seems like the broadcaster ERT believe her to be a worthwhile investment, and they are prepared to put their money where their mouth is as a broadcaster with that stance. Kudos to you, Greece, you're doing it right. So, is Greece gonna make it into Saturday's grand final? At my most brutal, I would say it's borderline. What I truly mean is that this isn't going to be an easy top 3 candidate, but it definitely won't come last either. But beyond that, there's no telling where it's going to land. Greece competes in the first half of semi-final 2, so Stefania is up against quite a few other up-tempo pop songs with female vocals. And unlike the others, this doesn't have the benefit of having quite as much hype behind it, so it may end up getting swallowed up by other songs that people consider to be the same thing but better. I think younger viewers will definitely appreciate this song, and the televote at large ought to reflect that. It ought to give this song fair credit. Honestly, I don't know which way the jurors will ultimately land with this one. And then there's also the fact that Greece is not in the semi-final that Cyprus or the Netherlands vote in, so that immediately cuts out countries that are most likely to respond to Stefania personally. But still, I wouldn't begrudge Greece a place in the final this year. It would seem very harsh to leave them out. But if the song doesn't make the top 10 of the semi-final at the end of the night, I can't claim I'd be shocked, just slightly saddened. This is a song I'll be coming back to, but that's just me. How about you, lovely people? As always, you know where to find the links to the song so you can listen to it for your own very self and form your own very opinions and come to your own very conclusions. In the meantime, though, I will wish Stefania and Team Greece the very best of luck, because, as I said, you're bringing a banger and I appreciate it. Just remains to be seen exactly where you'll end up on the night in Rotterdam. See you then.